Sorry about that, folks. We'll get rolling right now, okay? In your interactive notebook, we are going to create, this is what I call a diamond four-door. I don't know why I call it a diamond four-door, because somebody else named it, I guess, okay? Because it doesn't look like a diamond, and we're going to have more than four doors, okay? So, what we are going to do is I'm going to hand you a piece of paper that looks exactly, has these markings on it. Once again, remember how we make our cuts and our paces. Okay? Anything that is a solid line, we are cutting, correct? Anything that is a dashed line, we are folding. Okay? So we are going to cut this, and we are going to have flaps. And I just showed Mr. Hirschfeld this. He liked it. I just showed Mr. Hirschfeld this, and he liked it. So it's going to look something like this when we are finished. So you're going to have a flap, okay, that says the characteristics of living things, and we're going to open it up, okay, and open it up, and open it up. So we're going to cut the solid lines and fold the dotted lines. All right, so we'll get this in the notebook first before we start taking notes. But see these dotted lines right here? Don't worry about those, okay? These should be solid lines, as you're going to see. So that's a solid line. That's a solid line. And there's dotted lines. So follow the dotted lines and the solid lines like you normally would. And let's cut this and get it into our interactive notebook. Okay, I can see that most of the people are ready. We have the characteristics of living things right here written down on this flap. Now, what we are going to do, if you remember, we talked about characteristics of living things yesterday. You did a bell ringer in which you listed some things that you thought were characteristics of living things. Now, we are going to go over and take notes on the 6 characteristics of living things. Okay? So, you notice that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 flaps. Those flaps are going to correspond to our 6 characteristics of living things. So, does it matter what order you put your flaps? Absolutely not. Okay? You are going to be able to use this to study for your 6 characteristics of living things. So, okay, choose one flap, keep all other of the flaps closed. So open up one flap. Under that flap, write the following characteristic. Okay? So what I would do, folks, before you start writing, okay, I would open the flap on the back side of the flap, and let me show you mine. Okay? Right here is my made of cells. So I put made of cells on the bottom part, and then under the flap I put unicellular and multicellular. Yep. So on the back side of the flap I put made of cells, and then under it I put, on your actual notebook, the line part, I put multicellular, unicellular. So, The first characteristic we're talking about of cells, or excuse me, of living things is living things are made of cells. Those cells could be two things. They could be unicellular, which is a simple organism, a single cell, or it could be multicellular, which are complex organisms that have many, many, many cells. Now, pick yourself a different flap. Okay? Pick yourself a different flap. And on the back side of that flap, we have share similar chemicals. Now, what are some of these similar chemicals that living things share? Nucleic acids, which is DNA. Proteins. Lipids, which are fats. And carbohydrates, which are used for energy. We will talk about these macromolecules later on in our discussion of living things. So we will have another chapter on these living things that are dealing with these macromolecules. Nucleic acids, proteins, lipids, and carbohydrates. Our next flap. Open another flap. Our next one is take in and use energy. All living things take in and use energy. The energy allows the organism to make organs work and also to repair and replace cells. So we need energy to make the organs work and to replace and to repair damaged cells. Our next characteristic is living things respond to changes in the environment. They respond to changes in the environment. A stimulus is an activity that brings about a response. The response is a result of the stimulus. If I would grab onto a hot pan, would I react? Absolutely. So my response would probably be to yank my hand away because it probably got burnt. Okay? The stimulus would be that hot pan. Okay? Another stimulus that I've run into before in my life, okay, the stimulus was a bee sting. How do you think I reacted to a bee sting? Made me want to swat the bee. Made me want to swat the bee. Okay? But nonetheless, I did react. Thank goodness I'm not allergic to bee stings. My wife is. I'm not. I think the last time I got stung with a bee, it flew into my shirt somehow. Okay? And stung the back of my neck. So what was my reaction? Okay? It was still in my shirt, so I tore off my shirt and let that bee get away from my body. Okay? I think it was actually a sweatshirt it flew into. But nonetheless, it was not very fun. I don't like getting bee stings. Okay. Yeah, bee stings aren't good. All right, look at this one right here. Another flap. You know what this flap is? It grows and develops. Living things grow and develop. We can see that we have the tadpole. All of a sudden, the tadpole's starting to get some legs. And then the tadpole turns into the frog. So, they grow larger by cells multiplying in number. The development is change. The tadpole to the frog. So, one characteristic, another characteristic of living things is that they will grow and develop. Okay? Even us, you know, we start out as a zygote. Okay? One cell. Half of the genetic information from our mother, half of the genetic information from our father. They combine to form this zygote, this one cell, and we grow and develop into a multicellular organism from that one cell. From that one cell. So, another characteristic of life is growing and developing. Now that leads us to this one. What's going on there? The chicken has little chicks, right? So what did the chicken do? Reproduced. Living things reproduce. Whether it's sexual reproduction, meaning that there is a mother and a father, two parents, or asexual reproduction, meaning that the offspring is identical to the parent. It is a clone. Okay? It is a clone, identical to the parent. One I commonly think of, asexual reproduction, is a hydra. A hydra is a small organism that what happens when it reproduces, it does something that we call bud. It just grows an identical copy of itself off of its side. All right? So that is asexual reproduction, where one parent is identical to the offspring. A clone. Okay? How many we got? We got them all? All right. So we have the six. We have the six characteristics. So once again, let's review them. Okay? Let's review them and follow along with me, folks. What is one characteristic of a living thing? Who can tell me? Who wants to talk? All right. Jillian, what's one? Made of cells. Living things are made of cells. What else? What else? They grow and develop, Austin says. We're made of cells. Okay? We grow and develop. Who's got a third? Come on, folks. This isn't tough. We've got flaps. Okay? Go ahead, Reagan. Share similar chemicals. We said something like DNA. Okay? Nucleic acids, carbohydrates, lipids, proteins. Okay? What else? Nate? They reproduce. Excellent. Reproduce either asexually or sexually. Okay? Jacob. They take in and use energy. Okay? It helps. That energy that take in helps the organs to function, also helps to repair different cells. And what's the last one? What's the final one? What one we missing? Yeah, Ethan? Okay. It responds to changes in the environment. It responds to stimuli living things do. Now, what your job is, we've got this thing made. What your job is you need to get, see how I have pictures there? You need to get a picture that reminds you of what is under the flap. So for instance, all right, for instance, as I'm looking up here, okay, what do you think is under this flap right here? Grow and develop, right? What do you think's under this flap right here? Huh? It's a bird in a nest with the baby feeding it. What do you think that one is? How about reproduce? Okay? So what you need to do is you need to draw on these flaps and color 6 pictures that remind you of what is under that flap. Okay? 6 pictures that remind you what is under the flap. I can tell you right now, folks, I'm going to come around tomorrow. I'm going to grade it. You're going to get a point for having the picture. You're going to get a point for having it colored. So this is going to be 12 points. All right? Any questions of what you need to be doing in your homework? If you're bad at drawing, can I print pictures off and glue them on there? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not a very good drawer. Did you see mine? See mine? I've got pictures that I printed off in color. Okay, so if you're not a very good drawer, you can do that.